So this is my first daily painting one. I'm sketching in the floral that I want to create. What I do is I paint it on top of not a prime, but I have the golden color on it first. I prefer to paint over a color than white, especially when I'm doing florals. So I'm sketching it in loosely, not too tight, with just like a watercolor pencil. Sometimes I'll use a piece of charcoal. And if you see, I got my palette, my wet palette on the right. I'm using a long handle brush. Even though I'm not standing up, I like long handle brush. And you see how I'm holding it? I do that so it's looser. I don't want it to be really tight. One of the colors that I'm using is gray right out of the tube. A lot of times I'll mix it up, different colors, but I decided just to squeeze out some gray. I'm loosely laying the color down, so I have a nice background that's going to show through. I mixed in a light blue that I had in with the gray, and I don't usually use black, but sometimes I'll have it on my palette just to pop in the centers of flowers. You can make your own black by mixing colors. It's a little more, not so deep. So I have the florals down. I'm using a deep blue, ultramarine blue, to make green. I have ultramarine blue and yellow to make the green, and then elixir crimson is the red in the middle. And it makes a deep green first. And see how I'm just scumbling in the leaves? This way they're looser. So I'm putting up my design on first, the deeper colors first. You see how I also have things arranged over there on my wet palette. So now I'm going to put in the floral, the petals loosely. And you notice I didn't use just white. I took it and I mixed it in with a little of my my background of my florals. And see, I'm just loosely touching it. This is why I hold my brush away. This is just the way I do it. Sometimes I'll hold it differently, but when I'm close and not, standing up with my easel, it makes my flowers looser. I'm just laying it down. If you look at my brush, you'll see that I'm not putting a lot of pressure down. I'm lightly laying the paint on. And it's pretty thick. So, and if you see, I'm leaving pockets. Little pockets of the gray that's underneath showing through the gray blue that I mixed up. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm laying, it looks like, yes, I'm putting another color. So I took the same color that I had for the leaves, and I'm adding some more yellow to it. And see the orange I just added? When you do a complementary color, the opposite on the color wheel, it tones down the color. So it toned down the green a little bit. It'll gray it down a little bit. And I'm just laying it over. This is just one way I do my flowers. And like I said, this is my daily painting. I'm just playing, loosening up for my day and making a commitment to paint every day. Anytime you use acrylic and you're cleaning your brush, make sure you wipe it off. So now I'm using my finger. I have just white now on top of it. And I'm just lightly going over it. Not real heavy, light finger. So that'll give you an impression that there's petals there. The colors are showing through still. And as you notice, the little black centers that I made, I'm kind of making sure they smear a little bit. I don't want them, really perfect. So I'm going over that just a little bit lightly with my finger and making a little shape. I got 3 little petals. And see, I got 3 little buds, florals, odd numbers. And then I'm mixing some of the white in with the green, because of what I decided on my other one I did a blue background. I was doing more of a sage. So you see, I keep using some of the colors over again. So I'm scumbling in my brush pretty thick, pushing into the flowers and making sure, I messed up right there, so I'm fixing it. Making sure that I leave some of the background showing through. I like that. See, when you put a little brown color, it's called, on, and you don't have a white canvas, you can work with it better. You're not fighting to cover white, and you can let that glow of the yellow show through. Really looks good on flowers. If you have a golden background or even a red background. So taking the brush and I'm pushing it into the leaves, shaping them, loosely laying the paint down. A lot of times before I do the background, I'll do the vase first. This time I didn't. There's no rule. Whatever you're comfortable with exploring. That's elixir crimson. It's easy for me to say, right? So I'm laying the brush down. This time a little differently. I'm holding it and I'm lightly just stroking the paint over. Not real heavy. I'm wanting some of that yellow to show through. I'm not being really perfect. I'm just giving it another color on top of the yellow. This the floral that I did on top. I mixed actually 2 of the reds to get it, but this I'm just using the crimson straight. Kept my brush is still dirty. I grabbed a little bit of the gray, mixing it in, and just it's toning down the red. And I'm doing a little shadowing all over. Add a little bit of the white that was straight white so I can make some highlights coming in. See, it's not so bold red now. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a micro pen. And if you watch, I had trouble with this pen and I kind of didn't give up. The paint was still wet. I should have dried it first. So I'll go back in and get my dryer out. And I use one of those craft dryers that you get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever. They're better than hair dryers. They shoot straight out, controlled, and the heat's different. It dries faster than a hair dryer. But they're loud. And so what I'm doing with the pen, that's not working still, is I'm just loosely framing things. It makes it more whimsical look. It softens everything. You don't have to be perfect. And when you make lines, this is a very thin micro pen. Make more than one. Make a couple. If you notice when other people do that, it loosens up your painting. You don't have to be so perfect with everything. I think what happened with this pen is I probably got paint stuck inside of it. It's not working anymore. So Marie, give it up and go get another pen. So you see the colors, how they complement each other? If you look on the color wheel, red is a complement, or green is a complement of red. So that's why it kind of looks pleasing to the eye. Yep, I gave up with this pen. I'm getting me another one. And so I'm just going in and I'm kind of shaping and putting stems in and not making it perfect, bringing them to points, but just making it a more whimsical floral. I'll probably bring some stems down. Yep, bring some stems down from the florals into the vase. And yep, do the same with the top leaves. And then usually I'm going to do the sides of it first before I sign it. And I will paint the sides. I like on my little ones to paint them, especially if I'm going to frame them in black, because my husband does the framing and a lot of times I'll paint them white. And when it's just a little bit against the sides of it and it's black, it stands out more. It's got like a shadow inside the framing box. So I'm just using I used the same brush, didn't I? And just painting the sides with black. Just use Mars Black, I believe. And this canvas is not a gallery wrap canvas. I use them a lot. Gallery wrap canvas are thicker, and you don't see the staples. These are just little ones that I have. I don't charge a whole lot for these. A lot of times they're my practice pieces, but they're stapled back. They're considered stapled back canvases. So that's all I'm doing is putting my Mars Black on it. And see how you can see in the flowers, you can see the depth of the flowers. And that was just a loose, holding the brush loosely. Not being so intense with it. And also, too, I was going to point out the palette paper I use. It's a gray palette paper instead of a white. It's a mid-tone gray, so that your colors, when you're mixing paint, you can kind of tell if you what value your paint is. So here's the two I did. The one I did before that I forgot to do the video on or turn it on. My loose paintings. Well, thank you guys. Bye.